All right, Coach, you can just start with your opening statement, just going into this upcoming week, with the competition and everything like that.
Well, I thought we got off to a really, really good start in Conference USA. Being Thursday night, the emotional game against Sam Houston, and I say emotional, I think just only because it's hard. That's a hard game for me to play. I think our guys were really focused and locked in, and I think they just more than anything were wanting to play good basketball, and I felt like we did that. And then to win it the way we did in a close game, which I think we've had some of those in the fall and preseason that have gotten us ready for games like that. And then Saturday, Saturday was one of those games where everything just kind of went right for us early, and it gave us a lot of confidence. I was watching it again last night, and about the 10-minute break there in the first half, it was like 10-10 or 14-10, but we really got on a run, and I think it was like a 15-0 run that gave us a little bit of distance. And then we came out in the second half, which I was really proud of, and we extended that lead. Sometimes you get up big like that, and it's easy to come out in the second half and maybe let that team creep back in. But I thought our guys never looked back, and 2 big wins, great start. But look, every league in the country is hard, but to me, maybe Conference USA will be one of the best and the toughest leagues in the country this year. And we got 16 left, and they'll all be exactly the way these last 2 were. They'll be hard to prepare for. They'll be tough, grinded out type games, and it starts Saturday at UTEP.
Just looking back at those last 2 games, what was something you were very impressed with that you're hoping kind of continues as the year goes on?
I thought just our overall preparation, not that we haven't prepared all year long, I just think there's a different sense of maturity, understanding from our guys. We laughed a little bit after the game, and I said, guys, it's the same song that I've been singing to you since June. It's just that you're listening to it now. And I think our guys are just really, again, starting to understand a little bit about, hey, look, it does take an everyday preparation. It does take us taking care of our bodies and making sure that we're eating and sleeping good. I just think all of those things tie into good performances, and we had 2 good performances this weekend.
What's maybe something maybe a point of emphasis or focus for UTEP this weekend, and what maybe players are you trying to hold down?
Yeah, I haven't started watching UTEP yet. I'm just really finishing up our games right now and just trying to take, what we do is watch our games, and then we clip the things that we need to improve on, have the guys watching it. And so that's really at the point I'm at right now. I've got a little bit of Louisiana Tech left, and then I'll start on UTEP tonight. I've watched them play some on TV. I watched a little bit of their game Saturday with Sam Houston. But look, Joe and I don't know exactly the number, but we've played against each other close to 20 times in our careers, probably between Abilene and then last year. So I think we both know each other pretty well. I think probably year to year our teams may change a little bit personnel-wise, but I don't think Joe's going to change as a coach, and I'm not going to change what I do either. So, this will be a week where, we got a lot of time to prepare, and we're going to need it. They got a great team. They're off to a tremendous start and a lot of confidence. But I think the thing that makes this team better than the ones that Joe has had up to this point there is that he's got a lot of offensive firepower. And, he's always going to be a great defensive team and a great defensive coach. But right now, I think he's got some guys that can really make shots. And, all of us defensive-minded coaches, when we have guys that can make shots, it makes us a better coach.
What's been your relationship like with Joe over these years, and now that you guys are getting to go up against each other as head coaches?
Yeah, we talk once or twice a week. I don't think this game's it's not going to change that. We're both going to want to kick each other's tail and both be highly competitive. It'll be a highly competitive environment, I know, but that's not going to change our relationship. We're good friends. We'll always be good friends. Got a lot of respect for him. I know he's a great coach. He's a great competitor, and and he always has his teams ready to play, which makes him hard to play against.
You got to know a little about the New Mexico State rivalry since you got here. What have you gotten to learn specifically how do fans feel about this rivalry game?
The same. I think it's the same kind of rivalry. Maybe a little. What's the word I'm looking for to use? Maybe a little more civil. I think the New Mexico, that one can be a little uncivil at times.
Yeah.
I think this one's a little more civil. I think this one's more a respectful one. I know there's a lot of pride. I think a lot of pride between two places that's 40 miles apart. There's a lot of places in the country that are 40 miles apart that have big rivalries, and I think this is probably one of the tops.
Do you expect and maybe are hopeful that this game can continue after UTEP leaves for the Mountain West Conference in a few seasons?
Well, Joe and I haven't even gotten to that point or even talked about it, but I'm sure it will. Whether it be like we do New Mexico and we play 1 year there and 1 year here and exchange, or we play two in the same season. The hard part about playing twice in 1 year is just that, like their conference, they play 20 conference games, and that makes it really hard. I think we're fixing to go to 20 as well, and so then you only have 11 preseason games. It makes it tough, when you would play one person twice. So I don't know. I know we'll probably keep playing that game, though, to answer your question, yeah.
In terms of you going back to your relationship with Joe, just what's your earliest memory with him?
Oh, my earliest memory with him is when he was a player. Yeah, I was an young assistant coach at Tarleton State, and this would have been probably back in probably the early 90s, mid 90s, and Joe was the point guard at Abilene Christian, and they were in our conference. So I played against him twice a year for a couple of years. I think when you look back at his time as a player, it doesn't surprise me that he's a good coach. I think he was that kind of player. He was a tough, gritty, hard-nosed, leader. Always had some pretty good players around him, and he always did a great job of getting guys involved. What a true point guard does. I think he was a true point guard and a leader on the floor. So I knew that he would, be a good coach someday when he became a coach. But that's my earliest memories. And then, he was when he was the head coach at Abilene Christian, they were still Division II. And then came into the Southland, and we played against them, when I was at Sam Houston as the head coach. And I don't remember the first game, but it would have probably been somewhere around 2014 or 15, probably would have been the first time we played them. And in fact, I think the first year we played them, I'm almost sure this was the first national televised game at Abilene Christian. It was an ESPN Plus game or maybe an ESPN 2 game. And we played them there on a Saturday afternoon, and this would have been probably about 2015, probably somewhere around there. So that was the first time, and the only reason I remember that day is because it was one of my best teams that I've ever had that year, and also the reason I remember it is because it was probably the worst case of flu that I've ever had in my entire life, and Mudge dropped me off at the emergency room on the way to the gym, and the doctor said, let me test you for the flu. I'll be back in 15 minutes. And they were gone for about 2 minutes, and you could hear him in the back going, oh, he's got the flu pretty bad. So they came back out and said, hey, look, you probably need to get, here's a prescription, run over to Walgreens, pick up some Tamiflu, but you probably should go get in bed. And we got in the car, and I was told Mudge, I was like, we're going to the gym. Just keep the guys away from me, and I'm just going to sit down the whole game. So that was what I remember about that day. That's why I remember that day so well.
Very vividly. That's Jesus. Just looking at, Robin and Chris were on your team last year. Kind of saw flashes of what they can do this year. It's fully on display. Just for them to have the role they are having right now and playing the way they are, just what does that kind of say about them? And was this something you saw coming from both of them returning for another year?
Well, I think it's just I think it's a great point to why we all want guys to return every year. I mean, this day and age of the portal and having 8, 9, 10 new players, You know, if you look at our team right now, obviously our new players are really helping. But if you look at our returners are playing an integral part of our team, and that's Rob, Cook, and obviously Jaden. So that's extremely important, I think. And what happens is you know, guys start to get comfortable with your system. They get comfortable with your culture. They start to help others and bring your new guys along a lot quicker. And so I think we're just all really benefiting from that right now.
Rob and Christian, after the Sam Houston game, they talked about how they feel like the team has been playing more and more together rather than maybe just as individuals in recent games. I was wondering how you thought about that, and what do you feel like has led to that as you guys get further into conference play?
Yeah, I definitely think they were both right in their answer, but I also think it's just what we said. I mean, it's just time. You know, you start getting to know each other, you start trusting each other, you start trusting coaches, you know, you start buying into the system. You know, it also helps that you've won 5 in a row, you know, because when you win, then everybody starts to think, well, that is the right way to do it, and that is the formula. I think what we try to talk to our guys about and what we try to preach is just trying to keep everything within our team and really just focusing on us and what we can do. Because we all know, like, there's going to be some adversity, right? I mean, I hope we can go 18-0, but we all know how hard it is to go 18-0. And so we all know there's going to be ups and downs throughout a conference season, right? I think the most important thing is how you handle that. You know, how are you going to handle that if you stub your toe, or, you know, you lose a game that, you know, maybe you're not supposed to lose, or you lose a game that, you know, maybe is a tough game. So I think all of that matters. You know, we talk all the time about handling success as much as you handle adversity as well.
Playing on the road for the first time this season, conference play. Just obviously you saw how last year played out for all the teams on the road. What did you take from your experience on the road that you're looking to maybe carry into this year and maybe improve on and give you guys a better shot to get a road win, especially on Saturday night?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I think last year, Sam, the biggest reason that we probably didn't win road games was just because our culture wasn't quite where it needed to be, right? We weren't quite tough enough in some of those times when the games were really close. There was probably a lot of different reasons, but that might be the biggest, in my opinion. But I think moving forward, the good thing about last year was also you seeing those venues. You know, like I've been to UTEP before, but never was I ever at UTEP as a New Mexico State coach. And never was I, you know, there when that place was really rocking like it was last year. You know, the times I played there were in the Sun Bowl, and, you know, those crowds were good. But that night I thought it was really tough and really electric, and they played great that night. So, you know, or what is it like to play at Western Kentucky, or, you know, what's it like to be on the other side of the bench at Sam Houston, you know? And last year, arguably, when we went there, that was the best crowd they had all year long. So I think you take all those things, and, you know, you got 3 or 4 guys on your team that have been able to sit through those games and see what it's like in those venues. But I also think going and playing at the Pit and going to play in Austin and going and playing in Dayton, you know, all of those games kind of prepare you for what it's about to be like in Conference USA. And, you know, I hope that we can learn a lot from those experiences.
Playing a team that leads the country in turnovers per game, how difficult is it for you guys to prepare for a team like that, and what needs to be done for you guys to kind of cut down on turnovers Saturday night? Well,
I think over the last 5 games, and a big reason for our success is that we have been taking better care of the ball. We've valued the ball better than we did. A lot of that is just, again, maturity, and also, you know, just understanding like what is needed, and that is extremely important. But it's always hard to, you know, simulate Joe's game plan. You know, it's tough to do that in practice. You know, we'll try our best this week for sure. But again, I've played against Joe probably 20 times, and, you know, it's going to be the same game plan that it always is. You know, you got to take good care of the ball. You know, they try to turn you over 18, 20 times a game, and, you know, you're going to have to go in there and try to make that half of that. You know, if you can go in there and turn the ball over 10, 11 times, it'll give yourself a whole lot better chance.
Just, I know you said you haven't watched a lot of tape on UTEP, but their bigs have taken a massive leap in terms of their play. I know you guys have some bigs too. How important is that battle going to be on Saturday for you guys?
I think sometimes when you play games, probably the thing that doesn't look like it's important, usually those are the things that are important. And so, everybody always looks at how good our guards are and how good their guards are, but in essence, it may really come down to who plays better inside and who's more effective inside, whether it be offensively or defensively. So yeah, I think that's going to be really important. I know just talking to Joe a lot throughout this year and us being friends, we talk about our teams, we talk about our guys, and he's been really happy with how much his bigs have improved and where they're at right now. And and I feel the same way about our guys. I told our guys maybe a month or two ago that you want to be the group in the unit. Our front court wants to be the group in the unit that everybody talks about, right? And how much better that they've gotten, and that y'all could be the big difference in us, being a great team. And so I think our guys took that challenge on that day, and they've all strived to get better. I know we haven't played a lot of them lately, and we've kind of gone with some different rotations, but at some point in time, those guys are going to get a chance. And who knows? It may be Saturday night, and they got to be ready to play and ready to go.
The last one for me, just Peter obviously dealt with injury early on. It looks like he's worked his way back to 100%. Just for him to get back to where he's at and having the outings he's been having for you guys, just how big of a role do you see him playing from here on out?
Yeah, I mean, Peter's a good player. It's hard for me to sit up here in front of the mic and all the preseason interviews and tell everybody because no one really got to see it, but I did. And we were in practice early before he got hurt, and you could just see, what he was capable of doing, when he was healthy and getting into a groove. And I think we're starting to see that now. He's a good player, knows how to play the game, has a grittiness to him. When that time comes and it needs to be there, he has it. And he's just. Peter's a fun guy to coach because he knows how to be in the right place at the right time. He's not the most athletic guy in the world. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He just knows where to be. And there's a lot to be said for those kind of guys. Dennis Rodman, arguably the greatest rebounder to ever play, was 6'7", 6'8". My college coach coached Dennis and recruited him and found him. And Dennis would always say, that he had a knack for just kind of being where the ball was, and arguably that is a true statement. But it also takes somebody that wants to go get it too. And I think Peter is a guy that when the ball goes up, he just wants to go get it. And it's hard to teach guys that. So I think I'm not comparing Peter to Dennis Rodman by all means, but I just think that knack of being in the right place, or making somebody have to block you out every single possession, it's just kind of, he keeps coming at you, keeps coming at you, keeps coming at you. And, to me, that's kind of what Peter does, and that's what he brings to us.
Sweet. Cool. All right.